Well, got the old bushings out. Got a problem though. See this? This is supposed to be a nice smooth surface that thrust bearing goes on, the one that I don't actually have. So I found it. I'll be able to get it ordered. This isn't good though. That's all messed up. So it's not going to work. Now, I'm debating on trying to just repair this. We've got a mill. I can fixture this up and recut the bottom of that. This one, not as bad. Still damaged though, would still have to get repaired. And I've got a bigger problem. This one I don't think I can fix. Not economically anyway. But I don't know, can you see that? Yeah. So it's wore here and it's wore here. That little groove there is from the bearing. This is where the other side of that thrust bearing sits. And this side's all grooved up as well. So that's not good. You can also see got a fair amount of rust pitting. And this is right there where that bushing is supposed to sit. And then on the top side up here as well. That's all worn down. You kind of see how much that's worn. This first step, that's supposed to be there. This one though is not. So it's worn all the way around the shaft, and then it's completely worn into it here. They're both the same way. Which means that both of these spindles need to get replaced. So these parts are not that much more expensive. I could just go ahead and replace them as well. Got the bushing out of this back side as well. I kind of tore this side up a little bit trying to get it out. Man, I don't know. I think really the right thing to do would be to replace these. Because the way I could fix this is just by cutting this down deeper, but then it's not actually the right size. So I might run into some other weird clearance issues. I don't know if you can tell, but this has been rubbing on here. So this is actually starting to wear into this. And it's worn on the side, on this surface as well. Now again, I can clean all that up. Really bad on that top side. Focus. So, not good. I'm going to price all these parts real quick and just see about replacing all of them. And then, in the meanwhile, I'll get these cleaned up and get the bearing races pulled out of them. And these I should be able to reuse. See that? Kind of that pattern on there? It's from the rollers sitting on there. It's called Brunelling. So that means that this race has to be replaced. If we look in here, haven't got this one out yet, but you can see it's got it as well. Not near as bad. This is the one that I could feel yesterday. I can feel it right there. So that's why we're replacing these. So if you ever look in a tapered roller bearing like this and you see these kind of marks on the race, that means it's probably time to go ahead and replace the race. If it was all nice and shiny and smooth, like that spot right there, but all the way around, you could just reuse this and put a new set of rollers in there. So here's the one out of the other side, the other spindle. You can see it's kind of got some marks on it, but this one's nice and smooth. It looks pretty good. The inside here, not quite as good, but we can compare these two kind of side by side, maybe. Come on. So see that one versus this one. That's the one that's bad. This one could have been reused, but I've got the parts, so we're going to go ahead and replace them anyway. Alright, got the new lug studs in, pressed the new bearing races in, both sides, the other ones are in there. And then went ahead and just stuck the seal in here so I don't lose stuff. This one goes on the other side here. Now these won't stay in by themselves until they're installed back on something. So they're going to sit just like this. I've got new spindles ordered, and I've got new spindle hangers ordered. So or knees. They call these spindle knees. So these are the most expensive parts. These weren't bad, but those are about 200 bucks a piece, so that sucks to have to replace them, but I think that's the better option here, so that's what we're gonna do. Kind of unfortunate, but at least I'm able to reuse these hubs. See, nice new lug studs, so that'll be good. New bearings in there, that's good. So just gotta wait on parts now, and we'll be able to finally finish this, which means the tractor's gonna be down for a little while. That's unfortunate, and that's why I was kind of holding off on getting this done, because I keep needing it. But I'm at a spot right now where I don't need it anytime for the next few weeks at least, so it can sit there and be taken apart for a little while, no big deal, and we'll get it back together as soon as we can. Next thing, I need to break all these cylinders apart, and these 3 and this one, 4 that I have left still to do. We'll break them apart, see what kind of pistons are in them, and we'll get those parts ordered. Alright, well, got all these cylinders apart. Kind of a mess here on the table. This all went pretty well. No major problems until I got to this very last one. And this is it. I don't know if you guys can tell, but that's not straight. That's bent right there. So I think I'm going to look at replacing this entire cylinder rod. Now another thing that happened, let's see if I can show you without dropping it. I broke that while I was getting it off. So that's a bushing. This was sticking out too far. It was sticking out about a 1/4 inch, and while I was trying to get this thing out of there, I ended up breaking that bushing. So it needs to be replaced. I need to press that back out and then replace it. I ended up pressing it in just so that I could hold it while I was getting the piston off. But it'll have to come back out of there. But like I said, I'm looking at this. It's bent, so I may look at just replacing this entire cylinder anyway, or this entire shaft. You can buy just the rod with the eye and the bushings already put in it and everything. So I'm gonna go price that. We're gonna see what that'll cost, and we'll look into replacing it. Other than that, we're gonna get all of my parts ordered. So every single one of them so far has been a 2-piece piston, so that's cool. Makes it easy. I guess I should have just bought the 2-piece kit, so for the whole tractor, but live and learn. So all right, let's go do some shopping. Well, we're at a standstill on my parts for everything else on this. Again, waiting on the new knees and the new spindles for the steering here. In the meanwhile, we're gonna go ahead and do an oil change. So oil filters right here, drain plugs right there, and then the oil fill on this tractor is right here. It's kind of a weird spot. It's on the timing cover, so kind of, I don't know, it looks weird. It's not where you'd expect. Usually you'd expect it to be up on top here somewhere. Glad it's not, because since this has a loader on it, I would have had to take the battery out. So that's it right there. This should hold about 8 quarts of oil, so that's about 2 gallons. That's not how much is coming out of it, I don't think. So that's not good. I did pull the dipstick before I drained that, and it was a little low, so glad I'm changing it. Oil fill plug here, or oil drain plug rather. It does have an O-ring on it. This one's not in great shape. I don't have a new one on hand, so we're going to try and reuse it. Hopefully it'll seal back up. So we'll let this sit here and drain for a little bit. It's not sitting quite level, because I've got the front end kind of blocked up here, but should be close enough. And then I think what I'll do is I'll pour just a little bit of oil in there and then drain it back out, just a couple quarts. I've got a 5-gallon drum, so right there, and we are putting 15 W40 in it. So I'll let this drain for just a little bit, and then I'll bring you guys back. Put a little bit more oil in there. I don't know if you can tell. You can kind of see some of the old oil still draining out with the new oil. So getting some of that extra sludge out of there. Went ahead and replaced the oil filter. Remember, on these, hand tight. Don't ever put a wrench on these whenever you're tightening them on there. The oil flows in there in such a way that it will naturally tighten the oil filter. So if you put a wrench on it and then it gets tighter, you'll like to never get that off of there. And also, don't ever forget, use clean oil and just rub some on the face of that gasket on the front of the oil filter. This is the old one. So here's your gasket. So you just want to put some clean, fresh oil on the new one. Another tip, make sure that this gasket comes off. If you double gasket this, it won't seal correctly and all your oil will just blow out everywhere as soon as you start it. So make sure the old gasket comes off with the old filter. Oil on the new filter to get it conditioned on that gasket, and hand tight. Don't use a wrench on it. So that's about drained. We'll put the cap back on, or the drain plug back on, and fill her back up. Dipsticks right there for the record. Got the new oil in it now. Doesn't take long. It's about a 15-minute job, no big deal. We'll let it sit here and run for probably another 10-15 minutes. We'll check, confirm that our oil level's good, and that's done. All we'll be waiting on after that is just get my parts in to finish rebuilding the front end here, and we'll be ready to go. So very cool. In the meanwhile, I've been greasing everything else. I got a few points left to hit that I just found, so I'm gonna knock them out real quick while it's warming up. Last thing to do today is I still haven't got my other mineral trough moved out here, so I've just been reusing these protein tubs, dumping some mineral in there. Top it back off for them. Number 2 had to come check it out. Looks like they're all going to come see what I did, so they should find this and they'll eat it, and this will work for now. We're not supposed to get any rain here for a little while, so as long as it stays dry, mineral will be just fine. Alrighty, well, it's the end of my Sunday, so we'll see you guys later. Alright, tire guy just left. Nice inflated tire. All of my piston parts are on order, so they ought to be here soon. They shipped this morning, so that's cool. Got them on the way, got the tire fixed. Just a matter of time, we'll have this whole girl up and running. Pretty excited. So I'm back across the creek over here just checking out the kill that I got on all my vines and stuff. You can see these little trees, they're shriveling up real nice. They didn't do very well, which is a good thing. These vines are starting to die in places. This is one of the better areas. You can see, turning brown. That's what we want to see. Unfortunately, most of it still kind of looks like this. See, you got, that stuff's all kind of dying. A lot of it though, you can't hardly even tell that I sprayed it. And so you've got like all these vines right here that are all still real green. And if you look at that, I obviously sprayed this area. That plant's dying. Vines, not so much though. So that's unfortunate. I don't know. Kind of disappointed, to be honest with you. So today's Monday. It's been on here for a few days now. This is one of my little rose bushes, and you can see it. I got a good effect on it. A lot of this other stuff's real wilty. Trees, again, they're hurting bad. Roses, once again, but notice, the vines all kind of growing up in the middle of them. Now this is new. This has happened since I sprayed it. That kind of rust-colored staining on the leaves there. So, it seems like a good thing. But I mean, obviously, I sprayed this area well. You can see there's rose bush in here is just dying. The vines, though, are relatively untouched. You look down in there, all those leaves are turning yellow. Right next to it though, the vines are still nice and green. So it's kind of unfortunate. Here's kind of an area here that for whatever reason that got a better kill. I don't know. I'm noticing that the spots where my tractor drove through, and you can't even see, that seemed to do better than the rest of the area here right next to it. So obviously those are my tracks, which means I sprayed all of this really well. And you can see some of this stuff starting to wilt up and die. Got trees curling up over there. Vines though look pretty healthy. So that's unfortunate. Man, my instinct is to wait and let this sit a little bit longer. But as little effect as it's having, I'm kind of thinking maybe we should just go ahead and brush hog it. That's the plan, is midweek sometime this week. My neighbor's wanting to get out here and get this knocked down. Like I say, tempted to hold her off for a little bit longer because it is working. Like you can see right there, it is working. It's just not very fast. So what might be better is to go ahead and just cut it all, and then as it starts to come back, get back out here and spray it again. That thing that's dying right there, that's a blackberry bush. I don't know. We'll look at it again tomorrow, and I'm gonna let my neighbor know to hold off of it tomorrow. Not to try and mow it tomorrow, but maybe by Wednesday. I don't know. Not real happy with this mix. This is Grazon and Remedy. Did a number on my little trees. Not doing so well on these briars though. That's one of the things that the Grazon is supposed to help control. So maybe I didn't mix it strong enough. I don't know. Those briars seem to be pretty hardy though. So anyway, I'll let you guys know when I know.